Yeah, that's me. Here you will see the contact informations I have mentioned, and don't worry, I will show them in the end again. Okay, let's start. What are we going to cover in this session in detail? First, we will start with a theory part. I hope that is okay for you. And there we will get the essential for the foundation for the whole topic. We will get to the bottom of what Azure Site Recovery is and what its prerequisites are. I will show you the supported scenarios and in further sequence, the architecture to build to make them work. Finally, we will move on to a practical part, the hands-on part, and there we will implement one of the described solutions from scratch, step by step. Yeah. If you have any questions, please stop me and I will answer it. No problem. So let's start with the first point on the agenda and clarify what Azure Site Recovery is exactly. Azure Site Recovery is a disaster recovery as a service offered by Microsoft. So it's a platform as a service. It's something that is managed by Microsoft for you. And it is designated for the use in the cloud and also for hybrid cloud scenarios. So that's the reason why it's also my topic here. And what does Azure Site Recover offer here? It nearly offers a constant replication process, and you can scale down from 60 minutes to 30 seconds here. And that ensures that your data and workload are stored synchronously on site or in the cloud as you need it. And it also creates application consistent snapshots. That means that it is ensured that data and workloads are in an operable state after a failover. So it's much more than a crash consistent solution. And this makes it possible to have a disaster recovery solution without the need to invest in additional infrastructure. You can use and leverage the pay-as-you-go model here, and that gives you a lot of flexibility to create such a Azure Site Recovery solution. And if you want to get some more, if you want to start a test with Azure Site Recovery, I want to note that the first 31 days are free of charge, and after that you have to pay around 60 or 25 dollars per month. This depends on the replication. If it is outside from Azure or if it is between Azure and on-prem. So if you create a replication between one site and another site without a replication to Azure, you only have to pay $16 for it. So you only use the service. So what will be the prerequisites we have to fulfill? Now we know what Azure Site Recovery is in short, and let's talk about the requirements. And we want to use it in an efficient way. And so we have to look on the first steps. We have to make a assessment, and we want to look on the solution we are going to secure, to protect, and we maybe want to migrate. And so on the illustration on the right side of the presentation, you can see a classic application design and its components. And as you can see, there are also stateless and stateful parts and components here. And stateless in this case would be, for example, the front-end part of the solution. Each web server or web service for providing the user interface of the application is always built the same and does not change over the time or the usage time. So it is a static component. In contrast, stateful means that there is data that is constantly changing, and you need a failover if a component fails or needs to be changed to limit data loss or during that switching period. And in this architecture, you see that there is a middleware and the data stores, in most cases, the SQL databases or some other databases, and this is the stateful part of the solutions. Then we have to think about the 3 Rs. The 3 Rs stand for the techniques that are leveraged in a disaster recovery scenario, which means replicate, recreate, and recover. And for example, for a database, pretty sure a stateful component, the best way to ensure that a certain level of reliability is here is replication. And on the other hand, if you want to secure a stateless component, like the example I give you with the web service, the quickest and easiest method is to recreate it. Ideally, with the help of automation, nothing more to say. DevOps would be here a great option. And the last R stands for recover, and this can be used for both scenarios where you have a stateful or a stateless component. In most cases, however, this approach is not very efficient, and you will have a lot of overhead, because if you make a backup of a big solution, you will take a lot of data with you maybe not need. Okay. Another consideration to keep in mind when creating a disaster recovery strategy is to have the layered approach in mind. For each layer, there is a most a most suitable case available, a most suitable technique. And which layers do I mean with that is there is a data layer, there is an application layer, an operating system layer, and the resource layer. And for each of these layers, you can also take a different technique to create a proper proper disaster recovery strategy. So, for example, if you have, I will take the application layer. If you have a container-based application, you can replicate your container, or you can recreate your container. And so there are also different approaches involved. And you cannot think about Azure Site Recovery of a whole solution. It's a solution you have to split the components, and each component has to be proceed by its own. So, let's now look at another important topic. After we clarified the question of the method and the technique, it's about the points RPO and RTO, which stands for Recovery Point Objective, and RTO for Recovery Time Objective. And of course, as it is so often the case, everything can be explained more easily with the help of an illustration. And if you look at this picture, you see that there are two questions, and these questions are quite simple to understand. And if we map them correctly, we have also the definition for RPO and RTO. So if we take the question, how much data can you afford to lose, then we will get the recovery point objective. And if we take the question, how long can you afford to be down, we will come to the recovery time objective. But the question is here, how do we get the exact and perfect values for these parameters? And this will be presented on the next slide. And what a surprise, we have again at the diagram to make it a little bit easier to understand. Depending on the point where the risk curves for the data loss and the downtime intersect with the curves of the availability, the perfect value for RPO and RTO can be found. And of course, it's not an easy task to calculate these curves, because they are different for each company. And so Microsoft created a tool called the Azure Site Recovery Planner. And with this tool, it's much easier to get these values. Because if you have some compliance aims you have to fulfill, then you have to create a different solution to fulfill these requirements. So depending on the system you want to protect, and in the case of the Azure Site Recovery Deployment Planner, this means for VMware or Hyper-V. There are different flavors of this planning tool available. And if you have a closer look, you can, if you want to make a closer look, you can use the links provided on the right side. And as you can see on the left side, there's a picture, and in it, if you want to get a specific RPO time, you will have to adjust, for example, some inputs parameter, like the bandwidth throughput, and regarding on your environment, maybe you are limited with the RPO you can get in the end. But it will be a nice help to calculate and to see what are the hardware requirements. And in addition, it also analyzes for you if you have some incompatible resources. So you have to think about maybe another approach than Azure Site Recovery if you want to cover them and want to protect them as well. Let's switch to the supported scenarios now. There are three scenarios how you can leverage the Azure Site Recovery solution. There is the Site to Azure disaster recovery, the Site to Site disaster recovery, and the migration to Azure. And the last option differs from the other options only in that there is no failback. So you have, it's a one-way disaster recovery. So we are getting close to the end of the theory part. I hope you are still on board. And finally, I would like to show you the architectures for the individual scenarios before moving on to the practical part. Here we see the VMware solution. On the left side, there is the on-prem data center. And the big difference between the VMware approach and the Hyper-V approach is that with VMware, you have to set up an appliance, a management server that is registered to the Azure Site Recovery service and will manage the replication of the disks to the Azure storage account in the cloud. And if you want to have it in a safe manner, you can use a site-to-site VPN tunnel to get the traffic into the cloud. But I have to mention that it's encrypted by default over HTTPS, so it's more secure. It's your choice. If you want to have only a migration, in my opinion, maybe it will be enough to use the HTTPS protocol for that case. And here we have the Hyper-V solution. And as you can see, there is no management server. So the replication included in the Hyper-V will be used for this. And the replication server is connected to the Azure Site Recovery services. And then we have the same approach like with VMware, that the disks will be replicated to the cloud into a storage account. And in addition, if you want to make it more secure, you can use a site-to-site VPN. Any questions so far?
Nothing from me at the moment. No, just yeah. I have to confess, some of this is new stuff to me, so it's really good to learn about the background and the different appliances and things like that. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I will switch now to the demo, and for that I have to stop the sharing for short. Perfect. So the first step, can everybody see?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. I will start at the home screen. And the first step is that I will create a resource group in my Sandbox subscription. That's an easy one. So let's take some naming convention here. RG is Air Demo 2, and I like to go for West Europe. Next, no tags needed, and let's create it. Okay, we have the resource group now. Now we need a virtual network, because if you are going to replicate your VMs, they are embedded in a network on-prem, so they have to be embedded as well in the cloud. One thing you have to have in mind is if you are using a site-to-site VPN, don't mix the IP ranges here. So that can be a problem. You have to create a separate network design and concept in the cloud for the case of a disaster. In case if you are doing only a migration, as this is the aim in our scenario, it doesn't matter. So let's create a VNet. Let's switch to the right subscription, then to the resource group we have created now, VNet. VNet ISR Demo 2 will be a fine name. Nothing needed here at the moment. No bastion host, no firewall, no advanced DDoS protection. I'm fine with the default IP ranges. It's a 10 an IP range with 10.00/16. No tags, and let's go on. So that's nothing new, I guess. But that's are all components that have to be in place. Let's go back to the resource group. The next step is to create a storage account, because we need a location where the replicated disk will be cached and placed. Yeah. There's also a different approach to have your disks replicated. You can also use, instead of a storage account, managed disks, but that is not supported by every operating system. So if you have special operating systems or on-prem, then it can be a problem if you're using managed disks. So I would recommend to stay with a storage account. So the right subscription, the right resource group. Let's create the storage account. West Europe standard is okay. And local redundant for the use case of a migration should be fine as well. There is nothing we have to modify. Networking will be also fine public. If you are going to set up a private and secure environment, and if you want to make the migration over a private, you can disable public access here and create private endpoints and a private infrastructure for the migration. Okay, everything fine here. This is very important. We have to disable the soft delete options here, because if they are enabled, the replication will not work. We will always get an error message. Okay. That's everything fine. We can go with the default, and the check is okay. Let's create this. Okay, the next step is to create the recovery service vault, the site recovery vault. So let's do this over the marketplace again, and we have to look for backup, and site recovery, and this is the point we are looking for. Create backup and site recovery. Sandbox is okay. It's the right resource group. Now we have to use a name as for the right area. Look for we don't need immutable storage for that purpose. Networking can be public, as again, like I mentioned for the storage account. If you want to make it private, you can deny the public access here. No tags, and we are ready for the reviewing process. And let's create it. That will take some time. Let's see if the storage account is already deployed. I have to switch on my Hyper-V server I prepared for this use case. So this is a Hyper-V server with the a standard Windows server with the Hyper-V role installed, and I have also created some virtual machines here, so we can test it and look if the replication process will succeed. I have also installed an Apache server here. So if I started the link here, you see a website goes up, and we have Linux 2. That's the name of this virtual machine, and it works. I already created a second environment because I don't want you to wait for the replication to be finished, so we can skip the replication process, and we will see the result if we have finished the complete setup. Sorry. And we have here as well a Hyper-V installed and a Linux machine, also with the Apache server installed. But this machine is already in replication, as I have mentioned. So let's switch back to the Azure portal, and the deployment for the recovery service vault is ready. So the first thing we have to do, we have the infrastructure ready for on-prem for the replication, and we have also the infrastructure ready for the replication ready in the cloud. So I have to install an application on the Hyper-V. And how do we get there? We can use the overview site view, and there is a point site recovery. Sorry, that's not the here is the getting started icon. And we are going to prepare a Hyper-V infrastructure for the replication. And so we have a wizard here, and it's asking me if we have already done the planning solution I have mentioned in the theory part. I will say yes now. It doesn't matter. So are we using System Center? No System Center. And we have to add a Hyper-V site. We will call it Azure Demo Site 2. That's fine. That will be created now. And then we have to add the Hyper-V server to this site. And therefore, we will download an agent, and this agent has to be installed on the Hyper-V. So this is the download button here. I have this already in place. Here is the agent. So let's start the installation. And I would recommend to use the automatic update. If you don't do it, you maybe get in troubles if there are some modifications on the Azure side. Okay. Yeah, this is the default location. Will be fine. So there is the agent will be installed, and service will be installed as well. And after that is finished, you have to fill some values, and to start the registration process. That can be shortened if you take here the configuration file. I will copy it on this machine. Sorry. And this will be transferred. Okay, this is open for the second time. Where is... Okay, sorry. One moment, please. Yeah, this will make it much more easier. Now the file is in place. I will look for it. And as you can see, all the needed values will be filled. You don't have to look for that manually. We have no proxy. It could be a problem if you are using a proxy server. So I would recommend to have some bypass rules if you have a proxy in place. It will make the whole process much smoother. So let's start the registration. This will take some time. So I will switch back to the portal. And we have to do this process again to find the Hyper-V server. It's running. Are there any questions in the meantime?
Nothing from myself, no. Just yeah, it's not something I've configured myself before, so it's really good to see the end-to-end process.
Have you already tried to migrate servers to Azure?
I've done with Azure Migrate. I've not used Site Recovery. I've used Site Recovery for Azure to Azure, like across region, but not in the scenario that you've shown here. So it's yeah, it's really good.
You know that under the hood it's the same, Azure Migrate and Azure Site Recovery. Okay.
Same sort of technology, just slightly different use case,
but
I suppose.
In my point of view, it's much easier to implement it over the site recovery. There are no so many questions you have to to answer than with the Azure Migration Service. Needs a little bit time, sorry.
It's always the way with a demo, isn't it? Something that takes 10 seconds when you're testing on a demo goes to 20. Are there any scenarios that are sort of specifically unsupported for this? Obviously, you've when you went through the prerequisites earlier, you were talking about Hyper-V and sort of VMware machines. Can this also work if you're trying to do, for example, a physical machine, or is that a more challenging?
No, that's something that is supported. In that case, you have to install an agent on the physical machine, and that will work as well.
Nice, that's really cool. Thank you.
So it's registered now. Let's see if we will find it now. No, and here the new Hyper-V. The site is already selected. We created some steps before, and they are saying there's something missing. Come on. Let's finish this. Maybe it needs some time. So back to the service world. And getting started. Prepare infrastructure. As I have done it. No. It says connected. Okay. Let's create an additional one. So let's check if the service is running and working as expected. It seems that there is a problem. I can go ahead and show you that the different environment where it is working, and maybe it will work sometime later. So switch to the other recovery service vault I prepared, and let's do this again. No window, and you see there is a Hyper-V and it's a connected state. Then you can select a target where you want to have the virtual machines be replicated. That's correct. It's my sandbox, and you can also choose between the classic way to deploy virtual machines and the resource manager way, as it means ARM template. I think you know what I mean, and then it will also be checked if there are storage accounts available and networks. And as you know, we have created this some steps before. After that, you have to create a replication policy. So let's do one. Give it a name, select the source type, in this case Hyper-V, target will be Azure. Then you can specify the frequency, 5 minutes will be fine for us. And also you can specify how many recovery points should be in place, and how many app consistent snapshots should be in place, and then you can say specify a specific replication start time, but immediately will be fine as well. And after that, we have everything set up, and the infrastructure should be ready as well. And I will skip the last step because I have done it yesterday already successful. So we are ready to enable the replication. We have a source location, and now we're defining the target environment, landing zone. We will take this resource group, the deployment model, resource manager. Then we have the storage type, and as I mentioned, you can use managed disk. We will switch to storage account. Then we can use the storage account we have created before, and we are assigning the right virtual network. Maybe you will have more than one subnet in this virtual network, so you can select the right subnet. And after that, the virtual machine should be displayed here. The problem is that it's already replicated the only one virtual machine, so this one are not showing up. Let's see if this process worked now. Sorry for that. That's nothing I wanted to have in my presentation. I start to prepare the infrastructure for the environment I have created with you together. So now it's working. We create a policy. Hyper-V, Azure, 5 minutes. That's all fine. That's something you has always to face in the cloud. You need time. I don't want to switch it because to skip it, because this is one of the most important points here. Come on. Okay. Everything is fine now. So we are ready to enable the replication. That's the right source location. We have to define the target environment. We said we will use a storage account. We will take the right VNet. And now we're here. You see that the virtual machine is ready to select. And we have to choose for this virtual machine the operating system, the disk type, and if you want to replicate all disks, then we have a policy in place. You see here a short summary of the values you have chosen. And then we are going to enable the replication. Let's see if this process will succeed. In most cases, you will face a problem if your storage account isn't configured the right way, but that seems to be fine. We can switch to the virtual machine, and if we start the Hyper-V, we should see that there is a process running. If you see, the initial replication starts now and is sent over to the cloud. So depending on the size of your virtual machine, it will take a lot of time to have this replication, this first replication, be done. So I have already a replication done for our purpose. I will switch to a different recovery service vault, and there is an item called replicated items, and there is the first virtual machine here, and we can make some test failover. We have a replication health warning because the Hyper-V was down for some time, and so the replication wasn't done for some time. But that doesn't matter. We can do a test failover. That's a great feature, so you can test if it will work what you have replicated, and you can make some access tests, and after you have done your test, you are able to clean up everything, and all resources that are deployed in the cloud will be deleted again. Or you say, okay, complete the migration, and then the job will be deleted in the recovery vault, and you can go in production on the cloud side. With the complete migration step, you are also able to check a box that the source can be deleted in one step. That means if you have done the migration in a proper way and everything is fine, the source resource, the virtual machine on premise, will be deleted as well. So let's start with the test failover. From this side to Azure, and we have to select a virtual network. I will choose this virtual network because I have prepared in this environment an virtual machine and a bastion host. So if you want to see the result and to open the website will only be available on the private network. There is no public access, and that was an easy workaround to get to the result here. So let's start with the failover. The replication has was successfully enabled for the other virtual machine, and we can have a look how the replication process is going on here. So it's 1%. It's only a 10 gigabyte virtual machine, but it takes some time. So the failover is in progress, and we can switch as well to the resource group, and we can have a look on the resources that are coming up here. We have to wait again. Sorry for that. But we are on a good way.
It's very useful to see, though, isn't it? You know, using this, how if you do need to do that test to prove something's working, to actually know with confidence that, you know, in a DR scenario, you could do this. This is the perfect way of doing it, because you can actually access that VM, you know, get it, obviously do the test failover, access the VM, and test that the application is working as well.
If you're using the cloud adoption framework, this is something you have to do. So you have to create a IT strategy, and in this strategy, it must be a part of the game.
I suppose this allows you to test it fairly regularly as well, doesn't it? You can do this in isolation whenever you want, really.
Yes. So you only have to create a new VNet, and then you make a test failover, and there will be no connection to your productive environment, and and you can be sure that this will work in case of an big failure.
In case of DR event,
And if I hope it will be never be, but if there is an earthquake or something else, I don't want to sit in front of the computer and have to do migrations. It would be fine to have everything automated and one push on the button, and then I will care for my family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just gives you the sort of the automation and the kind of the one place to go, doesn't it, to actually start that process.
But this is only a very easy scenario. As I mentioned, if you have to replicate storage accounts or SQL servers on a global basis, it will be much more difficult to create the right setup. So let's see if there are some. As you can see, there are a lot of new resources. We have temp resources that are pre-recreated, and that will be validated as well. And if the validation is successful, this will be transformed in the test VM. the time it takes for this test failover varies from time to time. One more thing I want to mention is if you are going to use Azure Stack HCI, Azure Site Recovery will be a part of this solution as well. So you are able to create a disaster recovery solution by one click from the Windows Admin Center, and then your virtual machines are covered and protected in a very, very easy way. Have you already worked with Azure Stack HCI?
I've done a very little amount with it. It's tended to be more just sort of the cloud side of Azure rather than the stack product, but it's certainly something I'm seeing more of. So it's useful to know, you can put these solutions in, but also you can protect it with ASR as well and give it, kind of the coverage it needs from that regard.
Let's see how far we are. Now the virtual machine are here. I will go to the jump host and I will connect through the Bastion. In the meantime, go to Bastion. Very good. So let's see if this is working. It's perfect. Today it needs a lot of time. One thing maybe it's worth to mention is that if you are finish the whole migration process and you are going to delete your recovery service vault, you have to delete all resources dependent on the main resource. So you have to start, for example, with the right resources. You have to remove the infrastructure. That means the policies, and you have also to remove the Hyper-V sites and the hosts and so on. And you will always get the message that you are not able to delete it if you don't use the right steps by steps. So okay. One step closer. The next time I will do some theory part in the provision part.
I've had exactly this myself before with demos where something that takes 5 minutes when you test it is then it takes twice as long when you're demoing it live. It's the same. It seems to be the same for me whenever I talk to customers as well. I say, oh no, just 30 minutes for a quick demo, and then it takes takes even longer than you expect, sort of thing.
There's a joke in the IT. The customer comes to the IT consultant and asks how long will it take, and the IT guy says, only a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, it seems to be done now. Yes, the new virtual machine is here and ready, and we can switch to the jump host. And if I start, tada, as you can see, let's see if that's the right IP address. Yeah, that's the internal one. Yes, so it works. So I'm opening a website from this jump host in the same subnet, and I'm able to open this website that is provided by the Linux machine. Yes. That's everything I wanted to show you here. So let's clean up. go back to the.
It's always the way with demos, isn't it? Remember what you've deployed, so you clean it up afterwards, so you don't spend too much credit. No, that was awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll get the recording saved, and it's John. John does some YouTube magic, so I'll get him to do the bit there. But yeah, just thank you.
So only one click to make a cleanup. You have to put some notes here and why you are doing a cleanup, and then the whole process will be
Nice.
reverted, and the replication will go on.
Yeah, that's really good. It's very clever, isn't it? How it's all built in, and it allows you just to do an isolated test. Very, very handy.
Yeah, I've never seen that from end to end, so that was very useful. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Awesome.
What I can do is I can share my contact information again.
Oh yeah, if you're okay popping it in the chat as well. Let me I'll just grab a screenshot if you want, and I'll put it in the chat as well. Let me just grab that. Yeah, I've popped that in the chat so everybody's got a copy. What I'll do as well is once we get the recording done, I'll tag you in it when we share it on LinkedIn, so it's all people can reach out and contact you. But yeah, thank you very much. That was a really great session, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.